Why do so many people believe that disappearing will make someone want them more? You've probably heard it before. Give her space, let her miss you, silence is golden. But here's the uncomfortable truth I discovered after years of making this exact mistake. Your silence isn't making her miss you, it's making her move on. And there's something even more dangerous happening that most guys never realize. Think about it. When someone you care about suddenly goes quiet, what's your first reaction? Relief? Longing? Or do you start to wonder if they ever really cared at all? But here's what's really happening in her mind during your silence, and this is the part that will shock you. The silent treatment has become the go-to strategy for so many people trying to win back affection or create desire. You convince yourself that by pulling away, by becoming unavailable, you're somehow increasing your value. You imagine her checking her phone, wondering where you went, desperately hoping you'll reach out. But that fantasy is not only wrong, it's actually destroying your chances completely. And I'll explain exactly how in a moment. But first, let me tell you what silence actually communicates, because this changes everything. When you disappear without explanation, when you stop engaging, when you become a ghost in her life, you're not creating mystery. You're creating doubt. You're sending the message that she wasn't worth the effort of a conversation. But there's a deeper psychological trigger happening that makes this 10 times worse. The psychology behind the silent treatment is fascinating and deeply flawed. It assumes that absence automatically creates longing, that scarcity drives desire. But human emotions don't work like market economics. When someone you care about goes silent, especially after conflict or tension, your brain doesn't interpret it as mysterious or intriguing. It interprets it as rejection. And here's the critical part most people miss. This triggers a specific defense mechanism in her brain that I need to explain. Women, especially, are conditioned to read between the lines of communication. When you go silent, she's not thinking about how much she misses your voice. She's analyzing what your silence means. She's wondering if you're angry, if you've lost interest, if you're playing games, or if you simply don't care enough to communicate like an adult. But this analysis process leads to something much more damaging that I'll reveal shortly. Your silence forces her to make assumptions about your intentions, and those assumptions are rarely favorable. She might think you're immature, unable to handle difficult conversations. She might think you're manipulative, using withdrawal as a weapon. Or worse, she might think you just don't care enough to make the effort. But the real danger isn't what she thinks about you, it's what she starts doing about it. Meanwhile, you're sitting there expecting your absence to work like magic, to somehow transform indifference into desire. You're waiting for her to reach out, to chase you, to prove that she cares. But why would she chase someone who's already shown they're willing to walk away without a word? And here's where the silent treatment backfires in the most devastating way possible. The silent treatment is often rooted in fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being vulnerable, fear of confrontation. It feels safer to retreat than to engage. It feels like you're maintaining some kind of power or control by withholding your presence. But that control is an illusion. You're not controlling the situation, you're abandoning it. And while you're abandoning it, something else is happening that you need to understand. Real attraction, lasting connection, meaningful relationships, they're built on engagement, not absence. They're built on showing up, especially when it's uncomfortable. They're built on communication, even when you don't know what to say. But there's a specific type of engagement that creates genuine longing, and it's the opposite of what most people do. Think about the people in your life who you genuinely miss when they're not around. Are they the ones who disappear without explanation? Or are they the ones who consistently show up, engage authentically, and make their presence felt in positive ways? The people we miss are the ones who add value to our lives through their presence, not the ones who create drama through their absence. But creating this kind of valuable presence requires understanding something crucial. When you go silent, you're essentially testing her feelings while hiding your own. You're asking her to prove she cares while refusing to demonstrate that you care. That's not strategy. That's emotional immaturity. And most self-respecting people will recognize it as such. But here's what happens next that seals your fate. Here's what actually makes someone miss you. Being genuinely worth missing. Being someone whose presence adds value, joy, comfort, or growth to their life. Being someone who engages authentically, communicates openly, and shows up consistently. Being someone who makes them feel better about themselves and the world around them. But there's a specific formula for becoming this person that changes everything. Silence can have its place in relationships, but only when it's temporary and purposeful. Taking a brief pause to cool down during heated moments. That's healthy. Giving someone space when they've explicitly asked for it, that's respectful. But using silence as a manipulation tactic, as a way to create artificial scarcity or test someone's feelings, that's destructive. And here's why it destroys your chances permanently. If you're upset, say so. If you need space, communicate that clearly. If you're hurt, express it. If you're confused about where things stand, ask. These conversations might be uncomfortable, but they're real. They're authentic. They show that you care enough to engage with the messy, complicated reality of human emotions. But without understanding the right way to have these conversations, you'll still fail. The irony of the silent treatment is that it often pushes away the very person you're trying to draw closer. While you're playing games with absence, she's probably having real conversations with people who actually show up. While you're calculating the perfect amount of time to stay silent, she's connecting with people who communicate openly and honestly. And this is where the real damage happens. Your silence isn't making her wonder about you, it's making her wonder why she wasted time on someone who couldn't be bothered to communicate. It's not making her miss your presence, it's making her grateful for your absence. It's not increasing your value in her eyes, it's decreasing your relevance in her life. But the most devastating part is what she starts doing while you're silent. Real connection requires risk. It requires showing up even when you might be rejected. It requires expressing your feelings even when they might not be reciprocated. It requires having difficult conversations even when the outcome is uncertain. But there's a specific approach to taking these risks that maximizes your chances of success. If you want someone to miss you when you're gone, be someone worth missing when you're there. Engage with their thoughts, listen to their concerns, share your own experiences honestly. Be present in conversations, supportive during challenges, celebratory during victories. Show genuine interest in their life, dreams, and struggles. But this only works if you understand the deeper principle behind it. Stop trying to manufacture desire through absence and start creating genuine connection through presence. Stop playing games with silence and start building relationships with honesty. Stop hoping that your disappearance will make someone realize your worth and start demonstrating your worth through consistent, authentic engagement. Because here's the truth that ties everything together. The next time you're tempted to go silent as a strategy, ask yourself, what am I really trying to accomplish? If the answer is to make someone miss you or want you more, you're approaching the situation backwards. Focus instead on being someone whose presence is genuinely valued, whose absence is naturally felt, whose engagement makes a positive difference. But remember, none of this matters if you don't understand why silence fails so catastrophically in the first place. Your silence isn't making her miss you, but your authentic presence, your genuine care, your consistent communication, that's what creates the kind of connection where missing someone happens naturally, not because it was manipulated into existence.